Good morning, guys. This is the big one. 300 shaves off of this Nacet. Pretty crazy. Today is the day in the lather games where we are almost at the end of the month. Today is essential oils only day. There should be no fragrance oils in the soaps that we use today. And that is the case with Sudsy Soapery Lemon Rose Chyp. It's a collaboration with Chatillon Luxe. And so this also meets one of my vendor requirements of Chatillon Luxe as well. And this is also using a collaboration that has a vendor that is working with CL that is not one of the other vendors. They did open up the lather games rules a little bit because people were beefing about that. I had a conversation with the judges before the game started, right before day one, asking about this very subject because I wanted to use one soap from Declaration Grooming on Declaration Grooming Day, and then another soap that was Declaration Grooming and Chatillon Luxe for some of the point, to get the CL credit. But they said when originally written, the rules would not like that. At least you wouldn't get the 29 soapers point if you did that. But enough people kind of griped where they relaxed that. This is a Thader 4125. And I think this is the size 4. Silver tip badger, 3-band. Gonna just get him back in some water. He has been soaking for a little while. We are going to, with the blade that we're using, I've used up a lot of my favorite razors, but I did save this guy for the end here of the lather games to use with the Nacet blade. This is a dart from Blackland Grooming, and he was saved for this purpose because he's the one that started it all. Back in 2018, austere August happened, and I started using this blade just a few days before austere August. And then I used the dart and this very blade for the whole month. And that was my first time taking a blade past, 10 or 12 uses. And so the Nacet lasted. And here we are. And here's the infamous dot count from 260, 270, 280, 290. And now we're going to put one more dot in there today to make 300. And here's the blade. I had somebody on YouTube on the 299 video post that Nacet 299 equals fish story. I assume that means that they're claiming that it's a fabrication. Well, and that's why I've been showing you guys my blade with each video, and that's why I've been recording pretty much a video every time. But if he doesn't want to believe it, that's fine with me. You can even see the curvy wound that it received on use number 225. All right, Nacet is loaded. I'm curious as to see how it's going to work in the dart, because obviously it worked well the first 30 uses, but I haven't revisited the dart with a Nacet since then. All right, I am going to rinse my face off. As I tracked down, tried to figure out what soap to use, I was talking with the judges and I discovered that there were only 2 soaps that were real options, under the original rules, and this is one of them. Sudsy Soapery also makes a Delord de Trajette version, but then you can also find there's something from Tallow and Steel that's also a collaboration with Chatillon Luxe. I was very blessed to find assistant pig keeper who said on the trading threads, I believe, who said, "Do you need I asked about for a certain sample, and he, as I'm using my thumbnail to scrape the soap off of this penny sample wax paper here, he asked if I needed anything, and I replied with that or something like that. I replied letting him know that I still needed this one, or just I put a notice out that said, "Hey, I need this," and he replied, and then he sent it to me right away. And I thought, well, man, that's excellent. At the time, I didn't know when I was going to use it because I didn't know that it was an essential oils only soap. I thought I was going to have to use it on Wild Card Wednesday, and I figured a lot of people might be doing that. And then it didn't get here. And things were getting kind of, iffy. I was a little concerned. And then I got back with him, and then he told me that he had actually sent it that very day that we talked about it. And I thought, well, man, that is just taken forever. So Chewbacca volunteered to send me a sample of this very same soap. He was so kind about it because he offered to help everybody else in one of the conversation threads. As the judges acquiesced and opened up the rules a little bit, he said, "Listen, just contact me and I'll send you guys a sample." He actually sent me mine before, that point. But I say that just to let you know of his generosity. And then his kind of came at a normal rate. But on the very day that Chewbacca's sample arrived, so did assistant pig keepers. So I was very blessed. So I've got gifts from both guys working with me here. Let me get my beard. I've already wet my beard a little bit. So now I literally just woke up. This is the place that shake the Thader brush out, pressed it into the bottom of my bowl. This is the location that has the air conditioner that's busted. As usual, I got here last night, exhausted from the day's travels, and then stifling heat just makes me want to lay down and stick my head into the air conditioner, and then eventually I get sleepy and tired and end up shaving in the morning. So that's kind of my routine. And I normally like to shave at night. Used, no, I didn't use Sudsy Soapery yet. So this is the 300 shave. It's just nuts. I thought about something special to do, but I'm just kind of surviving at this point. But one thing that did jump into my mind is just to make it very clear how grateful I am to all the people in the different shaving forums out there, especially the wet shaving subreddit. Like many people, I got started on Wicked Edge first, which is another subreddit. This looks great. And then I moved on. I also found the wet shaving one as well. And I've just had people help me in my journey. It's been a wonderful community. People have sometimes taken harder stances. I was early on in my Reddit career. I only had about 30 karma points. I was trying to get it higher than 30 because the PIF, many of the PIFs had limits of about 30 points, and I wanted to be eligible for those, and I was trying to be helpful in a lot of my posts, and then this one character came down really hard on something I had said, and it was so long ago, I don't even remember. It was probably something talking about how certain blades, are meant for certain razors, or here's my experience with this blade or that blade, thinking that would apply to somebody else as well. When those are so subjective, as I now know, that you can't really apply that. You can't say, here's a blade to try or something like that. Who knows what it was exactly. Let's take some of this excess here and kind of work it on my skin, break up some of those oils. Oily skin. So we've got 2 teaspoons in the soap, in the lather now. Let's put 3. And I was trying to respond nicely, but I was being a little bit of a smart aleck. But nobody really knew me in the forum yet. And so I think a lot of people took it the wrong way, and I got a bunch of downvotes that day. And for a guy who was trying to, be eligible for PIFs and things like that, those imaginary points mattered a little bit. But it's okay. I managed to get back in the good graces of the imaginary point system eventually. But he was a guy with a lot of shaving experience. He's not as much around these days, I think. But I appreciated his wisdom. And later on found some real good common ground with him. 4 teaspoons now. Found that we agreed in several other ways. And he's actually one of the ones that recommended to me some of my favorite badger brushes that I started from with the beginning. The Frank Shaving, high density, finest badger brush. And probably, I think he's also the one that recommended whip dog brushes as well. So, if you're starting out and somebody pounces on you a little bit for some kind of narrow-minded and thing that you say, just hold on. Take criticism for what it is, and also respect people's opinions. And you'll be all right. But I'm here because I've learned from other people. Sure, I figured something out for myself, but so much of the knowledge that I have has just been passed down from other shavers that are out there, from research, from shavers in different forums. Reddit obviously has given me so much good wisdom, and now friends, I believe. I really enjoy those relationships. And so my specialness, there's some good lather. My specialness about this video is nothing fancy. I don't have clips to insert with funny things, or any craziness. It's just a whole lot of gratitude. A whole lot of gratitude from me to you guys out there who've gone before and provided wisdom, and you data junkies who have put out reviews and opinions, especially when you evaluate something and then you talk about why you liked it, why you didn't like it, because that's important. Just a vote thread about which brush is the best, and everybody just puts in a name. That's not all that helpful. But if you put why it's the best, why you like it, I can work with that. Everybody else can too. And I'm just really grateful for you guys out there who help guys out with good data. Saying, hey, here's this razor that's aggressive or not aggressive, and I compare it to these other razors here that maybe you can use as a starting point. And because of that reference, then I'm able to make a good decision. Looks like we've got a wonderful, creamy lather. I mean, it may actually need more water, but let's just go with it at this point. This handle does get slippery with soapiness. All right, so I've doused my face in a little bit of water, reminded it to be wet and hydrated. So this is a Chyp. And that is a certain genre, certain type or concept of scent building. Definitely used in shaving soap or shaving scents, colognes, that sort of thing. And what it means is it's a 3-layer pattern where the top layer has citrus. Not getting tons of the citrus. And then the middle layer has labdanum. Don't really know exactly what that smells like. I'm pretty sure I like it because it's been a common element in several soaps that I just really enjoy. And then the third layer, the base note, if you will, the one that's kind of the trailing piece that you smell after the others have gone, is a mossy, animalistic type note from oak moss. Now you can vary, add pieces into those different 3 layers. Obviously they've added some rose into this one. They are using lemon as the citrus note. Now maybe I should have smelled it a little more carefully in the beginning. Maybe that was, a lot of times the top notes will come in but then leave because they are designed to be that way. They're designed to work for a little while and then quit, usually. And so it may have used up itself and I just wasn't paying attention during the lathering, lather building maybe. Now this feels wonderful. These brush tips are soft. I did choose this brush because of the excellent feel for this special shave. And then it's working so well with the creaminess of this soap. It just feels luxurious, just total slickness, a little bit of viscosity. Might be on the dry side of perfect, but it's still very well hydrated. Now rose is an interesting note because I've learned learned to appreciate it for some sweetness that it often brings into an accord. It can be dominant and used with other florals to be very feminine, of course, but it can also just help along a scent by the sweetness that it brings. And then if there are masculine notes involved, then they can kind of set the feminine nature of the rose kind of on the back burner, and you can take advantage of its and enjoy its sweetness. This is quite rough, but not tuggy, if you will, but not. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I haven't used this dart in so long. This one seemed to be a little bit less rough if I increase the blade angle and decrease the handle angle, which is what that means. So I bring the handle a little bit closer into my face. So during a rinse right there, I paused just so you wouldn't have to listen to the water. During the razor rinse. Very good. Now I forgot about that at first, the angle. And usually it's fine on the first pass, but then it starts getting rough on the second and third. So I'm gonna have to bring it in now as we move forward. I'm going to rinse now. Oh, you know what? Let's clear the razor, and then I'm gonna take my goatee lather, put it right there. Now that first bit of length is kind of removed, it's going to be important for me to remember the handle angle that I was telling you about. So for description of the scent, you can check out the description of the video. I did paste in what Sean at Chatillon Luxe was talking about when he was describing the scent here of Lemon Rose Chypre. So is it a masculine scent? Lemon is not a feminine note. Rose can be, very much so. Let's see. Some people say there's no such thing as feminine scents, and I suppose in a sense it's true. Everything's relative to your culture, that sort of thing, but for me, for my culture, I believe that's the basis I use to say whether a scent is masculine or feminine. No, I think it falls in the unisex category because of all the other pieces that are brought in with this. The rose is kind of held in check, at least in terms of its feminine qualities. Now I will migrate to the cross grain method now, and also keeping that handle toward the face. So this does give me a more scrapey feel than the usual razors that I gravitate toward with more audio than those as well. And so I don't use the dart quite as much because I do like them razors that really give a good grip on the blade, and so the dart is not one of those. You can see the quite a bit of the bottom of the blade right there, and so it overhangs without very much bottom support quite a bit. A lot of razors do that, but those are just not as much my favorites. But I keep this guy around because he's just gorgeous. and he's the only Blackland I have around. Oh, okay, I've got the Saber now. So I do have another representation from that excellent brand. So I made plenty of lather. I've got so much left. I got carried away with just trying to get the sample up off the wax paper that I wasn't quite as mindful about. Let's not get too much. So, Chewbacca, assistant pig keeper, thank you so much for helping a guy out. Also, I want to say thank you to Cadenzer, aka Michael Friedberg, for all the work he has done for the community, but especially in my case, with his wet shaving tutorial videos that were just an immense help when I was getting started. My gratitude also extends to Mantic59. He made a series of about 15 videos that are kind of along the same lines, and I just found those very helpful as well. Even though I don't face lather like those guys, they just covered a lot of good material, and I learned so much from them. This is the third pass, so I'm going to change the direction of this cross grain pass right here to cross grain from the other direction. In the beginning, I also learned a lot from Geo Fatboy. Later on, I kind of found his approach a little bit too filled with product placement, but still some good content in there. Take that lather again. He's got some good videos where there is good info in there, but I'm just so salesman, just trip my trigger, and I think I'm being misled when I know a guy is talking about a product, trying to push a product, his own brand, that sort of thing. And so I become suspicious in that case. But he just kind of fills up his info with product placement, like I said, and just kind of maybe a little bit of filler or something. But he's got so many good videos out there that do have good pieces in there that I was able to watch a bunch of them. Specifically how to use certain razors, some different techniques to have, especially when trying to get different parts of your face. He's got some very specific videos out there about that. And so I think you can definitely get some really good information from his videos. And so I definitely want to give a thank you, big thank you, public thank you out there to him. Also Kevy Shaves, Mark from Friendship. Both those guys have some videos that I've really watched and enjoyed and gotten some excellent learning from. Chris from Another Cut Above, tremendous. Just a lot of good examples of different products from him, and a slightly different style than some of the other guys. And so then with the different styles, you just learn different aspects and different ways of coming at shaving. And I was able to learn from those, and I really do appreciate that. All right, well, my face feels pretty good. Let's give it a full rinse and check out the result. This feels like a little bit more of an aggressive shave. I feel a little bit more tenderness, slight irritation, probably because of the scrapey nature of the blade and the angle that had to be used. But by varying the angle with this razor, when it's in close, it relieves pressure on the blade, puts more pressure on the safety bar underneath the blade. So it basically lifts up the blade a little bit, keeps it from digging in quite so much when you balance it out and move the handle out to a more traditional angle, then it digs in more, and that's really handy for that first pass. And so in a sense, this razor, by using it that way, can be a very dynamic razor that changes with what you need according to your angle. And so you can have something very kind of aggressive to just pound at that first pass, get that growth off. Then you can bring the handle in for the subsequent passes to make sure you don't get a lot of irritation. So I think that's a really neat thing about the razor. But I got a good result. And right here, there are a few hairs that have some length left on them. But for a 300 use razor blade, I am fine with that. So very nice. That's that sample that I hooked out made tons of lather. I don't even know that I used up half of the lather that I have. Wonderful. So now let us splash on from a company that had to close its doors. This is Reef Point Soap's Test Depth, which I really enjoy. So that's 300. You can put your aftershave also kind of behind your neck if you want to get more of a dose of the scent. Learned that from, I think, an executive shaving video. So guys that have put content out there, guys who've put wisdom out there in text form only, thank you for what you do for us as shavers, and just specifically what you've done for me and just helping my knowledge. That's where I am today, with a good array of shaving knowledge, because it's been from good folks like you guys who helped me out with my dumb questions. So there's the top side of the Nacet. And then here's the bottom side. So in the beginning, when I started using this Nacet, and I've definitely said this a few times, I decided on a whim, let us use this blade always on the same side, with the same side, the dotted side, toward the handle of the razor, as in the bottom of the razor while I shave. And we'll see what happens with marathon type use. At the time, I only thought I was going to just go for a month-long use. I didn't know I didn't know that we'd be hitting 300 at some point. And who knows? I may have discovered one of the big secrets about making blades last a long time. I don't know. There's another fella out there. He's probably at 192 or 193 with, I believe it's an Astra blade. I'm not sure. And I believe it's, he's got a weird first name. Is it MIRNA something? My guess might be Michigan registered nursing assistant. You know, that could be an explanation for the name. But he is churning out some good uses on his blade, and there. So we've got some guys, and thank you to folks like him that often offer me motivation to keep going, to put those uses on the blade. I do it for fun. I'm not going to take a Nacet blade this far again. I'll do it with some other blade. I'll take a Nacet to maybe 50, 60, something like that, and then pitch it, then start on the next one. I've got a feather with a lot of high uses, so we'll push that guy, see how far he goes. So why am I doing this? Not for the money, but just for the scientific curiosity, to be able to say, hey, how many shaves can you get out of a certain blade? And so we know that at least Nacet, it is possible to get 300 uses out of one. How about that? I think this has a little bit of menthol in it, which is fine. It's not being too burny. I think it's actually a pretty good match to the scent on this soap here. I think that is an interesting scent for the soap. The strength was maybe 4 to 5, kind of mid to slightly lower than mid in terms of strength, and it was available, lightly available during the shave. The quality of the lather was excellent, just really nice creaminess, held water really well. If I hadn't used so much soap, I probably would have pushed some more water into it. But that takes a little bit longer to add water if you load too much soap. So I think that's an interesting scent. I think it's unisex, and so if you like the bits and pieces of it, and I think that's definitely one to savor, one to use a few times in a row, maybe come back to every week for a while, and explore just the nuances of it, because it's there. And he mentioned some different notes in the description that you could follow and try to trace and see if you could figure out. I think that's really interesting. So in terms of a rose scent, that's very appreciable by someone who likes masculine scents. I think that's a win, about as much of a win as you can get, because the rose is noticeable, but its daintiness is tempered by some other elements. All right, I'm going to clear down here. This test depth, man, that's a really nice one. I like that. Reef Point, RIP. Some really their soap was good, a great performer as well. So I believe I did load some excess, as we saw by the extra lather I had at the end, and almost 6 teaspoons seems about right for that kind of excess. The workmanship on this dart is just excellent. Blackland does such a great job. This is the machined version. You can kind of tell by its matte appearance. Machining marks are definitely there. Not a mirror polish at all. You can polish it yourself if you know how to polish stainless steel. This one, it also bears mentioning, is less aggressive than the polished version. I believe the polished version must round off maybe some of the edges that affect the way the blade is set. It affects its exposure, in my opinion, because I got the polished one in because I like this one so much. When the polished one came out, I ordered one. Could do that with less risk because of Shane's money back guarantee. It's wonderful when artisans provide that. So I was able to try it out, and it was quite a bit more aggressive than the machined version. And even my trick with bringing the handle in wasn't enough to make the blade be really tolerable. It was just way too rough for me. So it must have affected the geometry. Still a beautiful razor. But so I returned that one, and I keep my machined version. So again, from you guys who have answered my questions on the different forums that are out there, especially the wet shaving subreddit. For those of you who have put out such good content that where I was able to use search tools and find good evaluations of products and comparisons of, well, I like this better than this because of this. That was just so helpful to me. It has been over the years. Thank you so much for just helping me out with giving me information. And I try to then turn around and give that back as well and help other guys out. And I hope this video has done that to somebody else out there. So 300, you have come and gone. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I look forward to this shave all month. And it's the blade is still keeping up. I'm definitely going to keep going with it. I don't know if I'm going to use it tomorrow for the last shave of the lather games. Looking forward to seeing what the side challenge is, the surprise challenge is for today. I'm shaving a little too early to know what that is quite yet. But guys, thank you for all the work that you do. In the lather games, we owe a big thank you to all the judges. There are hundreds of posts that they have to review every day to be good judges and to award their points with justice. And that's a whole lot of work on their part. They are just, make them funny if you can, guys. Make them enjoyable for those judges to reward them a little bit for their effort and the tediousness of the job they undertook when they didn't quite know how many people were going to jump into this game. It's become big. I've enjoyed the Lather Games podcast. I haven't heard all of the one that was recently released. I'm working on the one previous, but they've all been great. So give a listen to that especially if you weren't able to read a lot of the comments, because they definitely highlighted some of the best ones during each week. So that can be helpful for you too. All right, now you take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Have a good day.